Yes, folks, the National Party is completely rudderless. Now, for the purposes of this video, we can forget about the Labour Party and the Greens. We can forget about the fairy tale people, the make-believe people, the snowflakes, because these people don't pretend to be on our side. But National does. But what exactly does National stand for? They are certainly not nationalist, as their name implies, and they are certainly not conservative, given their poor record on social issues. So who are they? Well, I don't think they really know. Now, I would call them the lesser of the two evils party, because that's how they win. But today I'm going to start this off with the lesser of the two evils party across the ditch. Now, Scott Morrison has been terrible on free speech. Have a look.
Then maybe also these new friends of mine, these fellow defenders of free speech, suddenly see where all this is going. If Rugby Australia is allowed to sack a Christian for what he says, can a Christian school then sack an atheist? Can some other business sack a Muslim? Pandemonium. Very interesting. Interesting issues. And just when the Morrison government is talking about getting new laws protecting religious freedom. So what a pity that the Prime Minister, who's himself a Christian, seems suddenly too scared of getting involved in, well, particularly this huge debate, refusing to comment on the Folau case and defend religious freedom.
I think that issue's had enough oxygen.
Anyway, now on to Milo Yiannopoulos.
A Liberal senator says the government got it wrong by banning right-wing firebrand Milo Yiannopoulos from entering the country. The contentious speaker was denied a visa to come to Australia for a speaking tour because of his comments after the Christchurch terror attack. But Amanda Stoker says that was the wrong decision.
The only one I guess had high visibility on was Milo Yiannopoulos, and I didn't support that decision.
So that was the wrong...
For much the same reason.
So your government got it wrong on that?
Look, I think so.
Anyway, now on to Alan Jones.
The Prime Minister has criticised broadcaster Alan Jones over comments made about Jacinda Ardern. The Channel 9 radio broadcaster and Sky News host suggested Scott Morrison should shove a sock down the throat of the Kiwi Prime Minister after she said Australia needs to answer to the Pacific on climate change. Scott Morrison responded from Tuvalu.
The comment has been relayed to me, and I must say on what's been reported to me, I find that very disappointing, and of course that's way out of line.
No, it's not way out of line. He simply misspoke, and you know that.
You know, we don't always have to agree, and we don't, but when we disagree, we should do it well. I'm all for, you know, there being lively debate and lively discussion, but I've said for some time now, as Australian journalists would know, you know, we've got to learn to disagree better.
Alan Jones has made a statement on his radio program on 2GB.
I made a statement yesterday, a clarifying statement, after the comments I made about this Jacinda Ardern, the New Zealand Prime Minister, giving us a lecture on climate change. And that statement I'll repeat. I said I note some concern about my comment yesterday regarding New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern and her remarks preaching about climate change. Of course, what I meant to say was that Scott Morrison should tell Miss Ardern to put a sock in it. There are many people who relish the opportunity, I said, to misinterpret things that I've said.
Exactly.
As we have seen online. I would not wish any harm on her.
Now, to be fair to Morrison, I think he did better on this issue.
Yep, indeed. Look, while those sort of weighty matters have been playing out, I want to turn to the bathrooms at the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet. So, Chris Uhlmann, political editor at the Nine Network, tweeted this while I've been on air this afternoon. This is a bathroom sign at the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet, down the road from where I'm at Parliament House. If you can't read the fine print, it says, PM&C, the department is committed to staff inclusion and diversity. Please use the bathroom that best fits your gender identity. Right, within the hour, the Prime Minister himself is on radio on 2GB with Ben Fordham. He gets asked about this. Here's what he says.
honestly, this is why we call it the Canberra bubble. It's ridiculous. I don't think this is necessary. I think people can work out which room to use.
What's your concern?
Well, I just don't think it's necessary. I mean, it's over the top. It's just, you don't need to do this stuff. It's just political correctness over the top. It's just not necessary. And we've got a pretty clear view about this, and I'm sure this will be sorted.
So what, the signs are going to go?
No, that's what I expect.
Yeah, so I think he did quite well. He handled that quite well. But generally, he's very reluctant when it comes to social issues. And I think he doesn't speak out loud enough. Now to the rudderless National Party.
Simon Bridges has recommitted to the National Party to raising the superannuation age to 67 while making it harder for immigrants to qualify for the payments.
Nationals released its economic strategy in the lead up to the 2020 election, where it's also hinting at tax cuts. Political reporter Mikey Sherman has more.
Simon Bridges opting for a more casual look today, hoping to make economic gibberish more palatable to Kiwi voters.
They perhaps see it as pie in the sky, GDP, schmeedp.
National's position on retirement clear, reconfirming it'll raise the age of superannuation from 65 to 67 in around 20 years' time.
Oh, in around 20 years' time. Here we go again, folks. Another meaningless 20-year promise. Now, does that remind you of anything? Government sets target to make New Zealand predator-free by 2050. And that's coming from the National Party's flower lady, Maggie Barry. What an impossible pipe dream, an absolute impossible pipe dream. Not only is it impossible, we'll all be dead by then. Anyway, now back to Simon.
Years' time.
Over time, it would save us around $4 billion a year, and as I say, makes that superannuation more sustainable.
I've been very clear, while I am Prime Minister or while I lead any form of government, I will not increase the retirement age.
National also cracking down on immigrants receiving super, raising the eligibility bar from 10 years residency to 20.
Oh, let's steal from Winston now.
It's just the right thing to do. I think it's a fair go.
Taking a leaf from the New Zealand First policy book.
These kind of magpie antics, we're going to see quite a few of them going up towards the next election.
As for next year's election, voters can expect more tailored tax cuts, with National promising a particular focus on families.
Oh, National promising a particular focus on families. You've got to be kidding. Given their debacle over the smacking bill, given their debacle over gay marriage and their likely debacles over late-term abortion and euthanasia, you've got to be kidding.
The government's pile on taxes, they're pulling in a lot of money. They're not even spending it.
They can't keep promising tax cuts and then also promising to spend more money. New Zealanders understand that. You've got to make it work on both sides of the ledger.
But a balancing act may be what's required as National considers lowering the company tax rate and tax relief for small businesses.
Oh, so let's copy from Trump now.
A promise too to slash 100 regulations in their first 6 months.
We're being really clear. We will set a bonfire on regulations.
Oh, bonfire on regulations. Oh, look at me. I'm tough like Trump. Sorry, Simon. No one's buying it. Yeah, now to Bridges on the gun issue.
All right, stop using the gun law for political potshots. That's the message from the Police Association and gun control advocates to the National Party.
It comes after draft legislation was leaked to One News and National saying it's unlikely to support the government's plans. Political editor Jessica Much-Mackay has today's developments.
It's not often Parliament unites, but it did on the first round of changes to our gun laws after the Christchurch attack. But phase 2 isn't quite so simple, and the message to National, don't play politics.
Don't be on the wrong side of history on this one. Don't close your eyes and your ears.
We think it's really sad, actually. You know, this is something that was happening for the benefit of all New Zealanders.
This comes after One News revealed a draft copy of the legislation leaked to the opposition. National didn't like it and told us they're unlikely to back it. What happened to the unity that you showed at the beginning of this process?
Well, we've been there because that bill stacked up. It was
No, it didn't stack up. It was undemocratically rammed through.
the right thing to do. Sadly, though, the government hasn't implemented the buyback reforms at all. Well, it's a fiasco.
He reckons the government's plans are lopsided.
That seems to be aimed at good, law-abiding people rather than the crims, the gangs and the extremists.
Yeah. But so was the original gun grab, Simon. And the National Party were in bed with Labour on that.
I'm really disappointed. I had hoped that we would have a joining together of the Parliament again.
But some gun clubs are welcoming the debate.
And there's a shooting community out there that has no representation whatsoever, or that's the way they've felt since March. There's an election next year, and I can assure you that the shooting community is organising. National are very wise to be saying these things.
National is accused of echoing the message from the gun lobby.
And we believe it's an overreaction by government, once again on the law-abiding owners.
For Simon Bridges just to try and make political capital by agreeing with our extremist gun lobby.
Our extremist gun lobby, you've got to be kidding.
There's no politics.
This gun legislation is a hot topic. The Police Association says it's nervous all of this politics will skew the debate, like we've seen in the US.
They're trying to paint the New Zealand gun lobby as the NRA. Yes, folks, the National Party is completely rudderless, and it has been rudderless for a long, long time now, long before Simon Bridges. And don't be fooled by this guy called Christopher Luxon from Air New Zealand. He won't make things better either. He's a greenie.